Welcome back to Proverbs 31 Live. Today we are continuing just the homeschool curriculum review. So most of you know we homeschool, we use Abeka. So today we've gotten all of our curriculum in for both of my kids. So we're going to be starting school soon, which is just crazy that it's almost that time again, right? So we are going to look at the consumer math today and U.S. history. Now, if you're looking at Abeka, U.S. history is actually an 11th grade class, but my oldest is in 10th grade, so we're going to take the U.S. history this year instead of their world history. Abeka does a lot of world history from the beginning, right? So we're going to skip on to U.S. history this year, and then next year we're going to do government and economics, which is normally a 12th grade class, so we're going to take it in 11th. Consumer math is more like an elective. The way Abeka is set up, they would take Algebra 2 in 10th grade, and then in 11th grade is plain geometry, and 12th grade is pre-calculus. We are actually not even going to do a 12th grade year, and we're not doing geometry or pre-calculus at all. So we're going to do consumer math this year for 10th grade, and then next year for 11th grade, we're going to do the Algebra 2. And then we're going to be done. So that's where we are. So this is the student consumer math book. Once you get to, I think pre-algebra is the last year. So 8th grade is the last year of them writing in their book. So it's no longer a workbook, it's a textbook. So when you go from, you make that transition from 8th to 9th grade, you get your 9th grade stuff and you're like, wow, this math book is really thin. Did I get the right thing? Yes, because it's just a textbook. They're doing all their work on paper, graph paper, stuff like that now. So this, and your student can write it in if you want to. There's just not a lot of room for it. Some of these, so we're doing consumer math because I feel like it is applicable. Okay, that's the goal, is to get our students set up and ready for life, right? So all of your Abeka books, it's going to have the contents in the front. You're going to see the things that they're going to be learning this year. This starts off with buying a car, taxes, fees, financing, depreciation, insurance, maintenance, and repair, budgeting for those kind of things, travel, time zones, renting a car, things like that, income, hourly wages, a time clock, piecework and tips, salaries and commissions, self-employed workers, and then deductions from pay, budgeting time, illustrated time budgets, household budgets, itemizing to estimate expenses, balancing a budget, budgeting adjustments, housing, food, clothing, federal taxes, banking, investments, and small business. These are some things that this is going to cover. So it starts off with talking about buying a car. For some of you, your student hasn't bought a car yet. Some of you have. So hopefully you've gone through a lot of this. But what this is going to do, it gives them the scenario, and then it's going to have some model problems. So you can see, it says right here, find how much more the most expensive car is than the least expensive car. So you're just subtracting, but it's helping them look at, it's 22,410, 22,624, 22,220. So there's not a lot of difference. But when you're buying a car, those few dollars are going to make a difference in the taxes and the financing and, the interest and all of that. So, and then it wants them to find the average price of each list. So you've got 6 lists here. So as you can see, to do A and B, you can write just the answer here, but they don't have room to work this out. So it's not designed for that. Finding the total list price, different things like that. All these are word problems. Finding out what they've saved, different things like that. Financing, insurance, why you need the insurance. So it's just some basics. Different lengths of leases, all that. Hourly wages, clocking in and out at work, what overtime is, how that gets calculated, all that. So that's what that is. With this, I spend the money because Abeka's not cheap, and I buy the teacher editions, the teacher kit, they call it the parent kit, to everything, because it just makes my life a little bit easier. And the investment we're making in homeschool, I'm willing to make my life a little bit easier. So this all the textbooks that you get that say teacher edition on the top, and it's up here in the corner, this is going to look just like your student's book, except in blue, you have your answers. And that's what that's going to look like. So it's the same thing. You just have your answers in here. This is helpful for checking if you've got a student that's an independent worker. Then you can, because I've got 2 kids that I go back and forth between, right? So I can just say, hey, are you on page 121? Yes. Or no, I'm still on 120. I haven't got there yet. Okay. Well, tell me what numbers 1 and 2 are. Let's make sure you're doing this right. And they can just tell me what their numbers are, what their answers are. Or my oldest gets pretty independent. I can give him the assignment. He'll do it and then ask if he can check it. And he'll use this to check it just to make sure he's right on the right track. Now, I think starting in pre-algebra, you have the option to get the solution key. Now, this looks an awful lot like the teacher edition. However, the solution key shows you how they got to that solution. Not every problem has a solution. But I know, especially in pre-algebra, I believe, Algebra 1, a lot of the graphs and stuff, the answers are not in your teacher kit, your teacher textbook. It's going to say, refer to the solution key. You have to have this if you need to know what those answers are. If you maybe aren't great at math, if your student's not great at math, and you're not sure if you got the right answer, or you've got multiple kids going and you just want that quick reference guide, then that's what your solution key is going to be for. Now, most of these answers are in here. So there are sometimes you're not going to open this at all. But when your student's like, how do they get to $3,000? I've got $2,000. What happened? Or I've got $4,500. What happened? Here, this is how they got to it. This shows you how they got to that solution, which for me is valuable in being able to explain it to my student and work it out. I can explain, I can work things out. I was okay at math, but maybe I got the same answer he did, or we both got 2 completely different answers. And we're like, okay, how did we get here? Especially in Algebra 1, the different formulas, order of operations, things like that. It's very helpful for us. The pages are at the top up here, so it's not listed in order. You don't see the entire problem like you do in this one. They just go right along trying to conserve space. So Unit 1, Section 1.5, pages 17 to 18 is where it's at. Right here, you get down to 1.6, pages 20 and 21. So, and then it goes on to the next section. And it does that through the whole book. When you've got graphing and all that, it shows the graph models in here. This one is new to me. I'm not 100% sure what all this is, but this says this is still part of our consumer math, but this is skills and review exercises. So it's not numbered. It's just exercise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And it's just some extra work for them to do. I wanted to get this because I hadn't seen it yet, but I want my student to be very proficient in consumer math. And this is like proportions, percentages, bases, solving systems of equations, a lot of what they've gone over. It's all in here. And I don't know how they are going to have this laid out, where it's going to be at in the text, but your curriculum is also going to be in here. I forgot to mention that. Your teacher textbook in the back will be your, like your lesson plans, basically. So this starts back here, your instruction materials. So the materials that they're going to need tells you what everything is, and then tells you roughly how long the class period should take, what a typical lesson looks like, things like that. So they are clearly labeled, lesson 1, lesson 2, and it's going to just step by step everything they're going to do. So this one starts with discussing pages 2 and 3. You're going to demonstrate some problems. This is what you're going to assign. And if there's homework, it's what the homework is. We don't typically do homework, or I just include that as part of the lesson. If the lesson was problems 1 through 10 and homework is 11 through 20, well, we're just doing 1 through 20. Or maybe we'll just do 1 through 20 even, something like that. But that's up to you, however you want to do that, because this is written as a public school guide. So lesson 2 says, go around the room and make sure students have completed their homework. So obviously that doesn't apply, but these are the same books and textbooks that they use at Pensacola Christian Academy in Florida. So you'll see a lot of that. If they have tests and quizzes, it will tell you that. Let's see. Right here, lesson 5, give quiz 1 from student test and quizzes on page 17. See the front of that book for that. Assign. I'm trying to see what it actually says. There's a speed test in here. Quiz 2 is in lesson 10. All right, so lesson 11 says practice exercise 1 located in the front section of skills and review exercises. So that is this book. And they will get exercise 1. So that's going to put all that in here for you, which is why I buy these. I buy the teacher kits because it has those lessons clearly laid out, and I'm not trying to figure it out. So in this book, the skills and review exercises, it just has exercise 1, 2, 3. They are not labeled with which assignment they go in. So, but typically, yeah, the book doesn't have it labeled either. So that's definitely going to help you to know where to be. Your teacher quizzes and test, typically these are gray. It's just a matte finish or a glossy finish. And then your student tests and quizzes are gray also, but it's a matte finish. Let's see, there's speed tests, which honestly, so this one's got 10 problems and it's going to give you the time up here for how long they've got to do it, 2 minutes or whatever. It's just 1 and 2 like this. This can be something that you do or not. You can time it or not. It's up to you. And then you've got actual quizzes like this. For my youngest, so she is going into 3rd grade, they have speed drills for math. They've got like 1 minute, 2 minutes to answer so many, problems. She loves it. She wants to beat the timer. It's fantastic. My oldest, we stopped doing that in 4th grade because it stressed him out and he couldn't. He was too worried about the timer to actually count and focus. So now that he's going into 10th grade, we'll see how this works. But for me, that's not a practical life skill. Okay, I don't care. But that's just preference. So that's not a huge deal. So that is the consumer math. Those are the things that's going to cover. Definitely practical things that our kiddos need. Now with this does not replace personal finance. So I don't know if it's every state or not. Tennessee does require a personal finance class. I think it actually counts as half a credit. That they're required to have before they graduate. Now, as homeschoolers, we decide what they need to graduate, but we are still going to do personal finance. We're going to do Dave Ramsey's high school class for that, but we're still doing this too. So we're going to hold that personal finance class until 11th grade when we're doing Algebra 2, and then we're going to do this. So it looks a lot of the same, and a lot of the same things are going to be covered, but consumer math, as far as I know, does not count as a personal finance class. So now U.S. history, this Heritage of Freedom and Christian Perspective. So this is going to be your teacher textbook. This is volume 2 and this is volume 1. What they've done, and they do this in other things, and if you've made it to 10th grade, you already know this. Science, I believe they do this too. They've taken the student textbook, given you your edition, and then split it in half. So first semester, second semester, basically, is what they've done. It's still going to match your student's textbook, but it's a pretty thick book. So they've just taken yours and cut it in half. So this is their book, matches yours, just not spiral binding. And again, in the front, you're going to see all the things that you cover. Discovery and Exploration, the 13 original colonies, life in colonial America. So this starts in 1492 to 1682, is the time frame of your first thing. There's lots of study aids in here, illustrations, looks through all the explorers. So right in their textbook, they've got their review questions and terms, words, and definitions to define and identify. Abeka is fantastic. Anything you need to know pretty much is going to be in bold or italics, and that's just what they do. So for us, I use those bold as like vocabulary words. So after my son reads his stuff, answers whatever questions, I tell him vocab and definitions. So he'll take those bold terms, write them down, and define them or tell me the important fact about them. So like a lot of these are people. Nathaniel Bacon, William Berkeley. So what did they do? Why are they important? Just so when you see them on your test, quizzes, he will know that. The critical period, the Constitution, it's going to go through all of that. Ending. And it covers a lot of things like the Great Awakening, stuff like that too. Ending in 2020. So America, the New Millennium, 2000 to 2020. Bush's administration, Obama, Trump, and the American moral decline is where that's going to end. But it's going to look through U.S. history. And then you will have quizzes and tests. And the quizzes and tests, again, are in Volume 1, Volume 2. So this would be the student kit, the mat, or the student quiz book, and the glossy is the same thing. It's just your key. These are the Volume 1s. I didn't pull Volume 2 out. So they typically have, these are not timed. And at the top, I like these because at the top, it tells you what section they are. So my son will look at this and go, okay, quiz 1 is 1.1, 1.4. He'll study that and then come back. So these do not tell you, yeah, most quizzes are 10 questions, 10 points apiece. They will get into things like states and capitals. That's part of their U.S. history, is they're going to have to know that. And that's your quiz. So it's going to give you states or it's going to give you capitals and you have to fill in the blank. So that's something that they'll be learning through this too. So yeah, so that is it's actually the Abeka U.S. history for 11th grade and then the consumer math elective, but we are using this in 10th grade. Depending on your state regulations, if you've got an umbrella school, whatever you want to do, you pretty much have control over this. So that's why we decided to break away. As you guys know, normally we just buy the student kit, the parent kit, and we just do it. But now looking at, the classes that we want him to have, what the field that he's interested in after high school, we're tailoring things to that right now to give him those classes. So that's where we are. So we've already looked at in a previous video, we've looked at biology and we have looked at the Master Books Bible that we're using. And there's something else, but I can't think of what it is. Yeah, so I can't think of what it is, but there's another video for that if you want to see it. So that is what we are doing this year for our, I did pull out the second one. So these are just after Christmas. So that's what we are doing for 10th grade this year. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know, comment down below, or you can go to the Abeka website. You can look through all their classes, electives, different grades, stuff like that. You don't have to just buy the whole student kit, whole parent kit, if that's not what fits your needs. So I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you for joining me. I hope this was a help to you. And until next time, stay in the Word, stay close to the shepherd, and let him lead you in passive righteousness.